Crash and burn. Hey guys, welcome back. Tutorial number 16, part 4 now. Sorry about the cutoff on the last one there. I didn't realize I was that close to the barrier. Anyways, so where we left off, we were actually producing an error message from the game event saying you don't know, or we don't know what your name is. Here we actually pull out the event, but we actually never store its name in the base stuff here. So what we need to do is we just need to modify this initialize method for game event in order to make sure that we store off that name so that we can actually use it later. So, and obviously I've been rather dependent on that for a couple of things, so we need to make sure that we are getting that. So we do have the game event code down here that we've already modified, so we're just going to create and modify here the initialize method. So here we are going to say alias initialize or init game event name data initialize there we go. I really can spell. Oh, and don't forget your unless $@ and then what we'll do is we'll put that right here, and then what we're going to do is we're just going to add a name equals event.name, and then we are going to make sure we pass that the same information like that, and then we need to make sure that it's exposed. We're not going to ever change it, so we'll make it a reader as well, and it will be name. Let's go ahead and try that again. Oh, you know what? I realized I didn't bring back a magnifier. Sorry. But it's up now. Feel better? Alright, so we're going to step onto it. We get the two undefined method or variables actors. It's probably because I forgot the @ symbol. At. And let's try it again. Alright, now did you see how they just sort of spawned out? That's exactly what we were looking for. So they all went to their positions and then they stuck there. So what we need to do is come back up here to our battle system, and we're going to pull out that extra print method because we don't need it any longer. Our battlers went to their position, so the whole setup battle stuff is all working and they all went to where they were supposed to. And then what we'll do is we'll just leave this blank for right now. Let's just run that again and not have it exit this time so we can actually see them get there and then wait. Alright, so they kind of went out a little slowly. I don't know if maybe that is going to be problematic, whether you guys, feel that that's a problem or not. But the one thing I did notice is that they were not animating while they were standing there. And so what we need to do is add the stepping animation checkbox on all of those so that they step in place. We'll do that to all of them here, like that. Step, spawn, and they are all walking in place. Now the other problem with this is that they didn't turn towards where they were walking to, which not necessarily a big problem, but it is something that we probably want to take care of. The other thing is that we're searching the whole map right now, so if we're going to do this for multiple battles on a given map, then we actually want to break this down to say only search within this vicinity. So search of all of the people in this area and try to determine whether or not you should really exist. Now, another possibility that actually is presented in that whole area there as well is, say for example, you've got an Actor 1 event down here, which happens to be the 15 squares away, or whatever you set your limit at as to the maximum distance away, and therefore those enemies are picked up and pulled into the other one. And likewise, these guys could very well be pulled into this battle even though they weren't necessarily intended because of their range. So that's probably something you'll need to work out in testing for the most part. But yeah, so for now I'm just going to do it by map, and then if you guys want to, you can implement a distance thing so that you only pull in the ones that are specifically close to you. So let's go ahead and proceed. So now we have got the actors going to their positions, although they're not turning towards where we want them to. So what we need to do is have them change their direction to the position or direction in which they're moving. So there is a... back into the script editor here. We want to look at game character, because there's, I believe, a turn 2, and then you can provide it like an XY. So that's turn towards player. I could have swore there was some turn 2 XY thing that you could do. Let's see if we can find it here. It's going to be part of the turn code, although this is all which direction to go stuff. Move towards, update, screen, move to, let's see here. Well, it doesn't look like it's in here, so we're going to need to add that code. Let's just see if they've got something in here. Turn 2. Alright, so no results. It's not returning anything. I don't think we've got a turn 2, a particular event method in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to add one. Now, I previously wrote one a long time ago for my GTBS XP, so I'm just going to go grab that one, and we're going to port that code over. Turn 2. Turn 2. Well, let's see. Turn 2 who? Alright, so here we just say who, if not who, as in they're nil. In which case we just check your X and their X, and then set a direction. Okay, so we're just going to grab this code right here, and we're going to close this. Now I just want to see who that is actually part of. Looks like it's game character or the battler class. Yeah, it looks like the battler class. I just want to be sure. I'm sure it's the battler class. I'm not going to bother. Okay, so back to VX here. We're going to add it as part of game character. So we're going to go down here and find our game character additions, and then we're going to add another new method here. Turn to who, and then that is going to set the direction, and then it looks like it'll also return the distance away, but we don't actually need that. The biggest thing is that we're just setting the direction. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to just we're going to say turn 2 and then pass it the other event. And so as we call our, go to your new position stuff right here, we're going to say turn to that same position. Although well, that makes it problematic, kind of. Okay, so what I'm looking at here is the fact that our turn 2 wants to be turned towards an enemy or another event. I guess we could create a new object that has an XY, because that's all it's really looking at, is XY anyways. So we could just say, you know, position.new XY, and then it will of course pass that position. And so what we need to do is create this position class position, and def initialize, and it needs an XY, and it's going to set an X and a Y equals XY, and then that's it. And we are going to make these attribute accessors because we're probably going to use these otherwise. So we're going to do X, comma, colon, Y. Alright, so we are going to create a new position class with exposed variables X and Y, which are the only two inputs, which are the only things stored, and then you can modify them afterwards. And then what we'll do is we'll dispose the positions, or I guess we don't have to. It'll automatically go out of scope in turn. It'll automatically be picked up by garbage collection, so we don't have to worry about memory. Although it probably would be best to set it equal to nil after doing it, but being that it's going to return nil, it's automatically going to already be set, so not a big deal. Let's see, go to position is right here. Turn to position new, and we should be good. Alright, so let's go ahead and just try this out again and make sure that we turn towards our prospective positions. Okay, so they all turned in the direction in which they were designated to go from where the player was currently positioned at. So that explains why Ralph is pointing up and what's his face here is looking off to the right. And she, I guess you could play with that and just try to get them set right, but I would think that that's probably the way you'd want to do it, is that you're just going to span out from that location, and then I guess you could locate the closest enemy and have your player locate them and then do the exact same thing again once they get there. But I think it's a good idea to at least set the position ahead of them, as we are right now, on the turn 2 position. So later on, now I guess you could locate, what you'd want to do is in the step 1, or I guess you could actually do it as part of your go-to position. You could add right here before, you know, they go to the next phase, you could have them all turn. So right here you could add a quick, you know, turn to closest enemy, and then you could then turn towards them. So there we are. That handles all of that. So code would go here. Alright, so I'll just leave that in there open, so if you guys choose that you want to do that, then I'll let you do that on your own accord. Okay, so we are into battle. We now have our positions. Our actors, we all know, are there. However, even as part of that, we don't know what our enemies, we don't know how many of them are out there. We actually haven't assigned them to anything other than just to, you know, read them in and get their index. We don't actually know that the troop otherwise actually exists. Although I guess technically at this point it's not really all that important. But we do need to start, so now we can actually go ahead and run the battle ready code or something along those lines. If we take a look at the emulator, and let me go and reset it here. So here we go ahead, we get into the battle. As soon as we get into the battle, so we go to our positions, and then you pull your swords, and then you're ready. So that's what we go for. So we're going to pull our swords at this point here. So battle ready. So now we're going to go, I guess technically your wait position could already have your swords, so we may not even have to change anything right here. So what we need to do here is we need to say update party input. And here is now where you're going to start implementing menus and so on. So the party selection is like what who's ready and who can actually take their next action. And so based off of, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself here, but we need to also keep in consideration the fact that we want this to later be an active battle system. So we're going to use that CT and stuff in order to figure out who's next. So necessarily battle ready is just going to look and say, did you get a preemptive attack or something along those lines, and then say, okay, well, go ahead and choose your actions and perform your first attacks. But then right after that, it's going to jump right into step number 4, where it's then going to go through and choose each one of those battlers and perform and actually address those actions that you've defined for them to do. So we just need to try to keep that in mind as we're progressing forward here, so that we construct it appropriately to make it asynchronous enough that they can actually, you could just add it to the queue of actions and then they can do it without having to stop everything else. For the update party input, I'm going to say let's just go ahead and pop the existing party run whatever option that we've got. So let's go ahead and look in here and look for the party command. And so here we've got a party command, and we just initialize it. It gives it fight or escape, and then nothing else. So if you can't escape, then it will be grayed out, and so on. So let's just look back over here, and we say update party input, and we say if let's see, party command equals nil, then party command equals .new. So now we initialize it, and then we say party command .update, and then if input .trigger, and then we do input B, which is cancel. And we say sound.play cancel, and then in which case it would actually jump back to, well, you could actually just set this to ignore. So that could automatically say, if you hit cancel, then automatically jump to the escape option. And that's actually pretty easy to do. So we just say party command.index equals 1, thereby setting it to that option. And then we could then go ahead and tell it that the input override, we'll just say it moves the indexed cursor to the escape option. And then of course if you input trigger C, which is your accept button, sound.play, well actually we want to check which index item you're on. So here we say case party command.index when 0 or fight, and when 1 escape. Then here we check whether you can escape or not. So we're going to look at how they determine that in the battle status, or in the party status. Troop.canEscape. Okay. So here we come back down here and we say troop.canEscape. If can escape, then this, else sound.play buzzer. And then in that case, it will probably attempt escape. So that'll just be a method. We'll set that up later, but I'll just leave it empty for right now. And in which case, this would also dispose of the party command and move it elsewhere, but that would actually be done as part of the attempt escape option. If you're going to fight, then we're just going to say let's go ahead and jump to the next phase, which is phase 1, or I'm sorry, phase 2 for the party selection. So let's go ahead and say, was it battle phase equals 2 and sound.play decision. Okay, and that should be it. So let's just go ahead, make sure we got it all closed up. We're good. And when it goes up to here, this is the party selection. So this here will actually run the select next active battler, which by default is actually going to always be actor 1 inside of the party, and then we'll progress left to right, and that'll be that. Now again, later on we'll want to implement, this is where you want to throw the CT system probably. Well, probably more so under process action, and it will toss you back to here, which is just the selection menu to let that go through. So let's go ahead and just try this out, make sure that we're getting our party menu, and then we'll proceed from there. Okay, so we got our party menu. I'm trying to fight and or escape, and it's not taking input. And that is probably because our update routine here, when in battle, update basic should be performing the graphics and input update. Or did we just not advance to the right scene? Go to position when all ready. Go to phase 1. Is that right? Yep, go to phase 1, and that says update party input. It created the window, so at least made it to there. And then it said party command update. So I think we've got everything in here we need, but let's just see if we're running this. The joys of programming. Okay, so we're getting the doing this, and it is happening more than once. Alright, so what that tells me is that the window is not active for whatever reason. So what we need to do is go ahead and say party command.index equals 0 and .active equals true. We'll try that out again. And there you have it. We now have fight and escape, and it is allowing us to scroll and allow that to work. So we go ahead and say fight, and it just jumps to the next scene and doesn't allow us to do anything. So, so as you can see, basically we build it piece by piece. We've now got you into battle, and now at this point here you just need to decide how your menu is going to finish folding out, how you're going to actually deliver your attacks, whether animations should play, all of that. Now you're just dealing with events on the map. So this might actually make life a lot easier in, you know, designing custom events, common events, you know, things that might occur on the map to make your life a lot easier. So anyways, I think that's where we're going to leave it. If you guys would like to see this continued developed, etc., please go ahead and leave some comments in the section below. Also, please don't forget to, I guess it's over here, favorite, etc., like the videos, and don't forget to comment. We'll see you guys all later. Goodbye.